Why I'm so optimistic is that if I look at the various countries what we have, then what we see is that in some areas, some of the countries within Europe did a fantastic job. If you can offer an environment where young people understand they are on top, then they will come.
Welcome to the 5th episode of Banking on Success, the podcast in which we dive you in the personal stories behind the professional milestones and explore what does it really mean to lead with impact. Today's podcast is a special one. We are joined by someone who gives the direction of our organization and whose strategic vision we would like to spotlight in this format. Dr. Strobl, welcome. In the name of Daniel and me, thank you for fitting us into your schedule today. You've built up a remarkable career, which is spreading over 4 decades in banking, starting at academia, earning your PhD at the Vienna University of Economics and Business, and then working for Kreditanstalt Bank Austria, Hypovereinsbank, and Raiffeisen BankInternational. Since 2017, you lead our company and give us the strategic focus in our core markets. And you're seldomly speaking in public. I remember there was an article in Frankfurt Allgemeine titulating you as the most sought after banker. So this said, we are very happy to have you on board. And let me kick in our talk today, actually circling back to your beginnings, the beginning of your professional career. Is there any moment or experience which set the scene and gave the tone for what followed after?
Thank you for having me. And thinking about your question, not really that, not in my life. So it seems that there are people, there is one event and then they're in and this drives for their lifetime. I think in my case, it was rather a series of events, and I don't know if it happened that I have chosen them selectively or it moved me somehow into it. So there had been 5, 6, 7 events, which then brought me deeper and deeper into banking. I appreciate all these moments, and I was very happy that it developed in the way it finally did. You mentioned academia. I was somehow lucky in a not so good situation for me. So it happened that I was working on a project which should have been my dissertation, my thesis, but then it turned out that in the last moment or so I thought I was already done with it, so at least concept and most of it. This topic was allocated to someone else, and I had to start freshly. So I have chosen at that time, so it's long ago, interest rate risk, and this was a topic which then, was part of my many first years of my career. So I was very lucky that this happened. Also in the days when the topic was allocated to someone else, I was less happy with it, and but it turned out well. And then in banking, again, I think there had been situations where I learned quite a lot and start enjoying very much the opportunities I got, some of it by crisis. Like for me, a decisive moment was for my whole career when we were still in the time of the Austrian shillings, when some big internationals started to speculate against the shilling, so as they did with the British pound and with other currencies before. Yeah, and it happened that I learned in half a day more than in the 30 years before, so I was, again, a difficult moment. But I also have to say that I had some very good bosses from which I learned very much and which helped me to love the job and then to move forward. Yeah. And later on, great teams. So again, many good moments, all of them leading me in this direction.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Let's look a little bit on strategic topics. RBI has a long-lasting history and is rooted in Central Eastern Europe. How do you see the region itself, its strategic importance, and probably if you look also a few years, a decade ahead, where would you see the region as well as probably RBI in this area?
Yeah, I think it was a fantastic move of my predecessors to go in these countries to see the potential, the developments, the contribution, what we could deliver to these countries. I think many people at that time and some who are still with us had been very proud to be part of such a great development, to see from very difficult times growing these countries to fantastic wealth, fantastic developments in their economies, but also in the education of the people. And I could go endlessly here. So this was a great time. And this is our home market. So we love it and we want to be there. And if you ask me now in these days, would there be other good markets? For sure, potentials would also be in other markets, but I think we like what we have there. I share what I heard from you, the view that we are in a different phase now. So these are very developed markets, so the competition is different, the expectation of customers are different. It's not so easy for banking, but the potential is huge. And it will be huge for many, many years to come. Some smaller issues, yeah, there is, like in many other countries, there is some migration which reduces the population in some of the markets, which one would not underestimate, but all in all, I would say it's going well. And we see some consolidation, which strategically for banks is a challenge. Of course, we see that scale is important. We see that those banks who have a strong market share, so the top 2, 3, they have an advantage. And we have to work on that. So in some markets, smaller ones, we are in the top 3 and we see the benefits. In some other markets, we are not there yet, so we have to make use of all the opportunities what you have. What I believe is that we have very strong teams there. We are very experienced bankers, and I think we have all the means, and we do understand how to grow. We have now as a core focus to win customers. We know how to do it organically, and here our skill set is very good. Of course, if we here and there see an opportunity for also being part of this inorganic consolidation process, we would love to do so. We had been participating in some markets just recently, not so long ago. We tried several more opportunities. One cannot always win, of course. Yeah, and we adjusted our strategy in some markets which we left. So in Bulgaria, this was emotionally a painful decision because we had a very, very strong bank there. But in the consolidation process, we understood that it would be very difficult for us to participate there. So then we decided to leave that market and we did focus on others. I think it paid off. But yeah, letting a very good bank go is always a difficult one. Yeah, we recently sold our bank, the Prior Bank in Belarus. Yeah, also mainly emotionally a difficult decision because I like the team very much. The people there, they were always very engaged, very happy to have us as a Western owner. But yeah, the geopolitics brought us to a point where we said it's better to hand over the bank to another ownership, which hopefully can develop the bank as successful as we did. Difficult one, but So yeah, indeed, we have our markets. We like it. And of course, we will now carefully analyze, so not for driving us in a totally different direction in the next 1-2 years. But what we see in these, well, dramatic changes driven by geopolitics, I think this we will have to analyze carefully, and this might have an impact on the trade flows. And as we are strong in trade finance, we have to carefully analyze if there are not many more potential. And maybe in 5 years, we will be a totally different bank looking at our trade finance business than what we are today. Too early to call this, but for sure it has to be analyzed. So many opportunities, maybe also in some other countries, but in this year, next year, focus on the core markets where we are.
This is very interesting, and if you allow me to jump in with a question, because it provokes me to zoom a bit more globally, because I personally believe, and here I share the view, that there is growth potential beyond our current core markets, but also agree that this needs to be analyzed carefully. Now, you've mentioned consolidation. This is also a process we see in Europe as well, and you've mentioned also geopolitics. Now, the question is, how do you see within the EU the economic momentum versus China and US, and where are the biggest opportunities and challenges for a European-based bank?
Yeah, well, China and the US are the way they are built from their governance, their government are very difficult than what we find in Europe. We had been talking before about consolidation, and what we see, if you now look at what's going on between, one might say, Italy and Germany, or also within Italy or within Spain. So you have people talking about one European market with the huge risk of consolidation, and that just 3-4 banks will be then in the top lead, and what about the others? But if you then look at, you see quite a lot of different interests, and Spanish banks are blocked from their national consolidation. You have a similar in Italy. So consolidation is for banks not an easy thing, I would say, and well, there are challenges, and maybe it takes a little bit longer, and maybe also by different ways and means. We will see that. Well, when you ask me how do I compare Europe with the US or the Chinese, yeah, I think definitely as a European, I love to be here. So it's a very good place to live. I think we have good potentials. I think the last 5-10 years we took a direction which brought maybe some positive developments, but definitely also quite a lot of competitive disadvantages. And like always, I mean, you are a great sportsman. I don't know so much about you, but
I'm
what
a watcher of sports.
Yeah, I watcher. So what we see and what we hear, and also gradually what we see in ourselves. I mean, if you stop exercising, then you lose, no? And the competition will then be far away. And I think this happened to Europe. We did quite a lot of wrong exercises, so we are very good in regulation and in some other topics. But I think for the customer, this is not the most important one, and also for other competitors. So, yeah, we have a disadvantage which we can overcome. I strongly believe it takes a couple of years and some explanations. Why I'm so optimistic is that if I look at the various countries what we have, then what we see is that in some areas, some of the countries within Europe did a fantastic job. So as an Austrian, I would only say the government, go to Denmark, Finland, wherever. So you find a series of countries, even to Italy in some respect. Go there, look at the best, take this, combine it, and then we could be within 5-10 years on top. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but now if you look at Greece, they overcome their problems. So there are many positive examples, all in Europe, not somewhere else. I mean, I agree that in technology, in the, digital technology, I should say, we lost very much ground. Again, this we can close, I'm pretty sure. That's the good thing about innovation and developments, that those who are the leaders over many years will be then taken over by others, newcomers. In a few years, I hope that the Europeans are then the top.
2 triggers that came out of your answers. Still, I'm trying to approach my initial question a little bit. Still the elephant in the room, let's put it that way. I said, what happens in decades? How can Europe again, and will Europe again be able to do business and trade with Russia in this respect? How important do you think will be the region in 10, 15 years still?
Yeah, I think Russia is a very big country and it's a neighbor. So I hope that, like in your private life, no? If your relation to your neighbor is not good,
it's difficult life.
It's difficult life. You cannot enjoy so much your home as it's built to enjoy. So there is. I hope we find ways that we can overcome these problems. Again, with neighbors, if you're in difficult problems, it takes some time. So it's usually not the case that you are in a deep fight and the next day you are friends like before. This will be difficult. Yeah, I think it's, but this is a very European discussion. I think we would be ready to do so, but I think for many years it will be different than it was, in the last 15, 20 years before the war started. So it will take quite long.
Second thing you said, regulation, Europe. We see that going very complex banking. If I compare to my 22 years ago when I started, and I think also when you started, regulation keeps increasing. Anything that where you see an end to this coming, or anything where you say, okay, how can we go back to more moderate banking?
Look, there's a big difference when you started and when I started. When I started, there was every year, every 2 or 3 years, a deregulation. This was, you can't imagine, the first 15 years of my banking life was another deregulation is coming. How can we make use of it? What kind of services do we build for our customers? How to change, where to go, what to offer? Financial engineers coming, learning, building models. So it was really one after the other. What we discussed was and at that time the regulator was even supportive. So they were in favor of this. They supported us. We could talk to them how to build regulations which are competitive.
Sounds like a great time.
Look, the good thing is that many people like you joined much later. So you did not enjoy these very good times for bankers, and you do not compare with that. And if you're grown up in such an environment, you can live with it. So indeed, I think it's very complex what we have, very complex. I think most of it is only to some extent beneficial. One can say that with these needs to increase capital, so the resilience of the banking system, of course, was developed much better than at that time. So here I fully agree. When I think about regulation, then I hope that we can find areas where banks would be on a maybe level playing fields with other companies, industries, or startups whatsoever who are gradually entering the financial markets, the banking markets. I think their advantage is that they are less scrutinized, so that their starting costs for any new innovation are much lower than ours. This is, I think, a core difference. I still hope that we will get an area for this. Not so easy, I think. Not easy. I once asked a governor of a central bank, not in the eurozone, so the biggest not in the eurozone, and I asked him, why can't we get an exemption? So he said, no, the reputational impact, if you fail, then it's too big. We do not allow this. So this we have to be aware that it will be quite difficult. Yeah, and the other concern what I have is the development what we see in consumer protection. It's not only that we suffer in Poland from our foreign currency mortgages, we see it in many other areas as well. So this will take time till we have fully understood, and that we have fully understood and incorporated the framework, because this is still a big change now. So I should say, I believe that, customers who, of course, are free people, they should decide freely and should be held also responsible for their decisions. And this, I think, is probably not fully balanced today. So the balance of the future in this way of thinking will be different than what we have today. So this is, for European banks, this is something where we have to learn quite a lot. And maybe we learn from the UK, they going already since a while in that direction. So these are issues where I'm very much concerned.
I'm switching gears a bit, touching base upon technology and competition. We see the uprising challenges, the fintech platforms and the neobanks, like the Revoluts and the N26, just Trade Republic, just to name a few. How do we position ourselves towards these challenges? So what are we doing? What is the key to success in this environment for us?
Well, I think this is a very interesting part, what we have now in our life. And especially because of the Revolut N26 and some of the others who are very successful. And this is a big challenge for us. So it's an inspiration. Let's start with the positive one. I think it's really an inspiration. We see what they offer to the customers, and we understand that the way our production, our offer is delivered to the customers is outdated. It's old-fashioned. It's not using all the opportunities of the modern technology, maybe because it's partly built on old technology. So we have to really make more progress than what we have now. But I think it's good. So it's better to see from a competitor what is possible than to meet talented young people who tell you, and then the people always ask, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Yeah, now we see the proof by that. The other part is what you see in theory. When you think about Clayton Christensen, how he describes the disruption element in innovation, then probably it's what he did many years ago in different industries. The same we see in Revolut, the same we see with others. What you have in brokerage, wherever you see this, and the incumbent suffers because it's a difficult decision to offer to all your customers quite a lot of services for free. You give up something in the hope that you gain. So it's a challenge, and the good thing is we cannot avoid it. So we have to accept this and then act.
Let's probably switch the topic a little bit, come to the leadership part that we're always interested with our guests here. You said, and we know you're quite long in banking as well, your leadership style has evolved over the years. How would you describe it basically now? And has it changed over the decades, also in recent times, very uncertain times? Is there anything, a compelling strategy you have or a description of your own style?
Yeah, I think we all change every day. Sometimes we see it, we feel it, and then in other days it happens over time, and we only understand when we look back for a long period of time. I think as a person, I probably have not so much changed, not at all, I would say. So I still love the same things than I did 30 years ago. I get interested in the same things. On the other hand, I can say that if you talk a lot about leadership, you talk about different roles. And then I think each role has some specific requirements, and it's good if you understand and then you like what the role requires. I want to share with you an example. So we once had a colleague here working for us who spent some time with Google. So when I met him, I said, "Wow, what's different?" And quite a lot of different things. No? And then he said, "Yeah, Friday for beer was always good."
Okay.
And then I was thinking, months over months, how can we have Friday for beers? So impossible. But then came COVID, no? And then we introduced the format
update from the CEO.
Update from the
exactly.
update from the CEO. So this update from the CEO, this was finally, it was what I was looking for since a while. And part of this learning before was, people expect, however good the manager is, it seems that, and it took me a while to understand, that people trust their bosses. Nevertheless, there are some topics, some questions they want to have answered by the CEO, for example. So this was a learning that it took a while that I understood, that it's not enough that we all talk to them, that sometimes they want to ask the same question to the CEO, and being ready to answer all these questions was a learning. In my younger days, when I heard 3 or 4 times the same question, I got annoyed a little bit. You might remember such an event.
I think it was the canteen question that I loved most, and I think similar.
Yeah, so it happens, but now I just do that, and I don't get annoyed anymore. Even if a question comes 7, 8, 10 times, it's I have understood that this is also a way of negotiating and dealing with it, and
And obviously also can be taken as a feedback from what the people are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a huge information also for me in it, yes.
I have a question which actually I personally always wanted to ask you. Assuming your schedule, how do you stay informed in an environment where in the morning we wake up, we don't know what's going to happen in the evening, so the situation can change intraday, so to say. So how do you stay informed? How do you take decisions and keep a clarity in such an environment?
Now, here I would say I have an advantage as a CEO. So I have many people who call me, make me, are you aware of this, or sending me emails or messages or whatsoever. So I think this is a privilege what I have, and so this gives me quite a lot of support. And on the other hand, I can say that of course I use my own sources, but then I have many opportunities to call, and this is it can be in the bank or outside also, and of course, and then in the let's say topics where you don't need an instant decision. So there's also the privilege that I can meet many people, and then if you then meet 5-6 people to the same topic, you get some information. Some is contradicting, some is confirming. So it's you can generate informations, parts of it from all of them, and then make your assumptions about the future.
As I would be interested in the AI question that leads me exactly to this. Are you using ChatGPT?
No.
So how do you see AI as a part of transformation?
I listen. I talk to many people who use it, so I carefully listen how they use it.
Mm-hmm.
I see that people are, how shall I say, not only frequent user, also trustful users. I see that the benefit they see in using AI is huge. I see people who almost never used the Google or whatever, or suffered with it, and they are now deeply in and they enjoy it, and so it's really strong. It's really big what we see, and I think this is a huge potential what might come. What is available already now?
Well, I was about to say it's already available, because just today in the morning I had a chat with my son, who is permanently using ChatGPT, and now taking this to a next question. What makes us attractive for this young generation, for these young talents, as a company?
Let me take one example which made it clear for us what it makes to be attractive. So when we made some significant changes in software development, this was ending an era where talented software engineers and tech people said, we're not joining banks, this is outdated. But what then happened is we started to produce in an agile way. We offered all this technology, which is what you have as a core part of it. So immediate deployment, end, all these things. Moving down to using real-time data and whatever. So, but what is this? In nutshell, it is, if you can offer an environment where young people understand they are on top, then they will come. If we fall behind in what we offer, or in the way we lead, or the environment we have to them, then they will go somewhere else. And therefore, I think it should be easy. Why shouldn't we offer the best? We want to be the best. We want to have the best technology. If we offer it, then for these people, they are coming.
One add-on question. You at the beginning said there were people in your career that I think you said not influenced, but they were important to your development.
Yes.
Many. How would you see that also then coming to the RBI question as principles of leaders? Where would you see that? How important are individual leaders to employees making their way and also deciding to stay with us going forward?
My not real the first, but one of the first experience was I was allowed to lead a team. We worked. That's why I'm a big fan of Agile. So we had. I led a team where all the team members were much better than I, much better. Nevertheless, we enjoyed the work together. So they felt I supported them, and it happened. So I started with 2, and I think over time both followed here. So, and then people around were observing them how they could work, and were joining from different departments, and I just let them work. Of course, my responsibility for them was to provide the funds and protect them from those who didn't like the way they worked. But this is one way how you can have a great team success, and the team was really good in working together. And I think these are ways where you, as a leader, you support your team and let them work, and they also self-organize them. Not the productivity within, they didn't need me. They say, hey, you have to deliver. You can't fall back. And then, so it was. We had this. At that time, there was no manifesto, and there was no. But we had our daily stand-ups. Okay, not. We had an 11 o'clock coffee, which I produced. This was my job to produce, to ask a little bit, barista. And we aligned. Yeah.
Leader and barista.
Yeah. This was, and these are so ways it has to fit to the team and to the challenge. But I think as with your team, you can do, and on the other hand, you. Sometimes it's good to see that the boss cares about you and gives you some advice, and or I mean, one very important observation for my whole life was that there was a problem case around, and so my direct boss said, maybe this is a chance, but then the CEO said, nah, it's a waste of talent, let's keep him here. So having this view, what fits to you, and you even say it to your team, might also be quite useful and supportive. So it's a broad combination of things, what you should enjoy in a lifetime, so that you then can be successful as well and happy.
Do we have time for a last leadership question from my side?
I think one is still in, huh?
Yeah. In the last 3 years, I've heard from many people saying, like, I don't want to be in the shoes of Dr. Strobl. What were the biggest lessons for you as a leader in this period?
Yeah, first I say, if you're a CEO, then maybe there are many people who usually want to be in your shoes. No? So if you can enjoy a couple of years where you can really focus on your job, but without being cynical, I learned so much. I learned in areas which I never have thought that I would ever do this. I met different people. Not all I was enjoying, but it's still interesting that you see what really is there. I learned how important it is to be data-driven, so that if you have a reaction in social media or so, that you understand when you look at data and carefully analyze, is it important or is it not so important? Yeah, also about morale and its principles and whatever. Quite a lot of many
this
things.
This would be another academic discussion. We will leave it aside now. Yeah, agree.
I could not participate in an academic discussion, but also they are great people. They are great people in this field as well, which you can trust.
Probably coming to an end, a little bit fast forward, 10 years, 2035 it then is. Would you love to read as a headline of RBI by then?
Yeah, I would love to read. It's another year where RBI was beating the market by acquiring more customers than anyone else. And then, of course, I would, when I see this headline, I will read further, and then I say, yeah, these people are so ambitious, and they know what they want to do, and they deliver it, and they act like it, and the young people join them. So that I would love to read.
We're set up MBO-wise by 2035.
Yeah, I understand what the guidance now was, huh? Of us, yeah. That's probably, we talked a lot of business now, finally, and I think you mentioned it already. There must be a huge schedule you have every day, every week, every day of the week. Is there anything, a principle where you recharge, where you somehow relax again in order to get your batteries upfilled and be ready for the next week and challenges?
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of my age is that most of what is very important to you is now already behind me. You know? So I can have a life which is almost work only. So my kids are grown up, so this makes a big difference. And there are a couple of other things. So I can meet friends, and I try to have at least one day on the weekend where I don't do work. I mean, on the other hand, the privilege is the brain never stops working. So some of the ideas, of course, are coming on Saturday, but then in, let's say, different state of thinking. So it's mainly you should get, that's my recommendation to all of you, you should get enough sleep. So this, I think, is the most important thing. And if you take care of this, then the rest is fine. So create a good environment. And would it be better if I would do sports? Yes. So I can improve.
Many thanks. It was really interesting listening to you. Thanks for taking the time and joining us in our podcast. Dear audience and listeners, many thanks for listening to our episode. You heard an inspiring and interesting leader in our region, and we will have a next podcast pretty soon. Please tune in again. Happy to see and meet you again. Many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Raiffeisen Bank International. Make it happen.